your obsession with diagnosis of yourself, I think it's more of a hindrance than it is a benefit. You should always be aware of it, and I've grown myself. In everyday life, people would never know that I'm bipolar. Or I don't even really diagnose myself with it, but it's always a part of you. You feel the certain aspects of it. But I am such strong-willed, strong-minded, worked on myself naturally over years and years of life experiences, and where that has been tested, and yes, you go off the wagon sometimes, but your ability to get back on is stronger and stronger each time. So for one, therapy is a scam, not because you can't find some benefit in it, not because you can't learn coping mechanisms, but because you will always be reliant on external validation. You will always be reliant on the fact that you need, there's always something you can make better about yourself. And they think the answer is always just to listen to a psychiatrist. Listen, go on these BetterHelp stuff. Talking about your issues will never fix them. It won't. Only will make you obsessed with them. You will become reliant on rationalizing all your behaviors. And worst of all, it creates excuses. If you ever talk to someone who goes to therapy all the time, when they do the shit in real life that they go to therapy for, like if they have attachment issues, if they have some type of sad boy, let's just say for guys, and for girls, they have a very immature way of dealing with rejection or anything like that, where you go to therapy for stuff you haven't dealt with. What it does, yes, it means you're addressing an issue. You are mindful of it, which there's something to that. But going to the thing itself doesn't really matter if the other 23 plus hours in the fucking day, you're not actually trying, you're not actually doing things to better yourself that subside a lot of those issues. And what it creates a culture of excuses, and we always got to kind of beat around the bush and accept a lot of shitty behaviors, all because we have to be sensitive to people's issues. I am literally speaking about this of someone who grew up with depression, bipolar, and all this stuff, right? Like, real stuff. And I wasn't planning on sharing that, but I realized if I'm going to talk about this shit, and I'm not just some asshole saying therapy is a fucking scam. You're talking to someone who went to it for 3 or 4 years. So I would get an excuse to not show up to school till 10 o'clock because I was allowed to go see my guidance counselor, or not guidance, but a counselor. And my mom spent a lot of money in insurance, and I see the stress it causes my parents financially, but it's like, what are you gonna do? Not try to help your kid, to help yourself? And nothing really got better until years and years after I just kind of like, I'm not going to keep taking this medication. I'm not going to keep going to these fucking sessions. They're not doing anything. And it took a while after that. It doesn't mean you immediately figure, but you got to actually live life and deal with things in real time to actually better yourself. But the worst thing of all, when you're dealing with grown-ass adults who obsess over therapy, it's really because they want a rationalization for why they could treat people poorly. They want a rationalization for, it's okay if I do things that make people uncomfortable because I'm working on it, going to see some motherfucker that's charging me fucking money. So of course they're going to keep telling you, you're doing great, but there's still a 10% of you that you need to come back next week. You know, there's obviously financial fucking incentive with this shit. But neither here nor there. I'm not here to shit on therapy. I'm not saying it's all bad. Some people really need it. You should always try to address the issue, whatever that may mean to you. But at a certain point, you've got to venture out yourself and internalize and actually deal with the shit, work the shit yourself, and apply it in real life application. Alright? No, I am not accredited with therapy. But I'm someone who's actually seen through the other side. And actually, I'm closer to a success story of what most people that grow up with these issues end up becoming. Alright? But if you ever deal around people who obsess over their issues, they obsess over it it becomes a part of who they are. And therapy gives people that excuse to have those prolonged problems their whole life, because they know, because I have an issue, people will always have to cater to them. And it's worse when you deal with family members, right? So I did write this note, and I was contemplating, I'm about to share something, and I was contemplating whether sharing this. I'm going to protect the people involved. But there was something last night that really triggered my idea for this video. So on my dad's side, he has a brother, you know. My dad's up there in his upper 50s. His brother's over 50 as well. Now, to give context, his brother, he's pretty financially well off. So, he does well for himself. But this dude is a fucking loose fucking cannon. He is the definition of what happens when you have been catered to your problems your whole fucking life, and then you think just because you make money, everyone has to deal with your problems. And this is why I tell guys on the show, money, it will make your life easier. But money will not solve your fucking issues. If you have problems before you make money, it's just going to expound them. Your ego's going to get bigger. You're going to treat people a certain way. And for example, to give his background, he is, his first marriage, cheated on his wife, basically completely created an unnecessary situation, right? It's not new. A guy cheats on his wife, family, whatever. He cheated on her with essentially a college student. So they got divorced. He got kicked out. On top of other things, drugs, alcohol, all these issues. So moves into a townhouse, lives with this college girl who's, I mean, come on. We all know what's happening here. Alright? In that situation, but he gets support from family because, you know what? He financially helps people. So because he financially helps people, a lot of behaviors will be forgiven. That's the reality of the world we live in. And honestly, like, you know, my dad is his brother. Like, my dad's a very wonderful guy. And I probably don't tell him that enough. But he's very helpful. He's very caring. And obviously, he's your brother. You're always going to care. But pushing forward, life goes on. He's living this bachelor fuckhead lifestyle. He's going off the wagon, bleaching his hair, getting tan. Then he knocks up a woman, and just a few years ago, and then blah, blah, blah. They live together. They have a baby. And then recently, the other day, he calls my dad and like, hey, I'm in town. Come by. 9 o'clock at night. Like, my dad's like, we're not 25. I can't just fucking leave the house. He's like, come on, bro. I'm in town. You know, some shit happened. I need you. So my dad stops what he's doing, goes sees him. They go to this nice steakhouse. Whatever, he hangs out. He's a little off the wagon, but apparently he flew out, left his wife, and then he actually came back to town to talk to the girl that he originally left his other wife for, this college girl. And apparently they've been in contact, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to move forward, speed this up. Then literally, last night, apparently we find out, because they finally get in contact with, you know, he abandoned his kid. He has an alienated relationship with his family and kids and all that stuff. But it's cool, right? Because he makes money. So he's not viewed as a bum, he's just viewed as a troubled person. Money, you get different labels. And this is the problem with shit. When you have money, you're not labeled a bum, you're just labeled as a troubled person who has issues. You don't have money, you're a person that they want to kill off the street, and they act like you're a hindrance to society. But whatever.